Am I supposed to be able to hear this?
Hello? Turn that down a little bit. I want you to see if I'm doing this right. Well, I want to hear them.
Yeah.
Boston. Oh, and you've just begun, honey. It's such a pleasure to you. Wait till you get the second. He gets mad at first, but you know what I heard the time. The youngest daughter who was challenged.
What happened?
Two children. The oldest one was showing the youngest one. He is going to be
Yeah,
a
right.
no, yes.
That's something like,
He is going to be one of the ringleaders.
with the sports, we're not having it, but look on because
He'll go out
that
and
guy assumed that we
Rachel? Are you on, Rachel?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you good. Okay. Jeff? Okay, we have six board members present. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Okay, we're gonna have to shut down mute mics. All set? Nope. Who's got a mic on?
Right now.
Okay. I'd call the meeting to order. We have 6 board members present. If we could stand and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. First topic will be the high-risk sports.
I think you're actually gonna have to come closer, Chuck.
Here, if I can do is. I'll borrow that, you talking to that, I can see you.
Good evening, board. I wanted to bring to the discussion table high-risk sports for winter. And Chuck and I have been working diligently on this to get it to a place where we are now ready to present it to the board. So when we look at high-risk sports, the governor of New York said a little while back that we should be able to do high-risk sports. Since that time, Quastar BOCES has been leading discussions between area superintendents so that we can discuss how we are actually going to have sports happen, the high-risk sports. There were a lot of factors for us to consider, from the testing of students to how do we clean the facilities and sanitize them, to how do we schedule it, looking at the positivity rate in our regions, and also making sure that our students are safe as they partake in these sports. So based on the recommendations from the Department of Health, from New York State, and from Rensselaer County, Quastar itself, what we have done is we've come up with a plan that we'd like to present to the board now, which would make it possible for our students to engage in practice as well as intramural sports, so we can keep it in-house in the district. And at the same time, we're preparing a plan, which is going to be a detailed plan, which we will bring to the board, which the board can then vote on if it agrees to it, so that we can move forward to the level of having sports as well. So we're taking measured small steps at a time, paid in. So today what you'll hear Chuck present is basically a plan for us to have practice as well as intramural sports in the district. And then we will present the plan at a future board meeting in terms of sports itself and how to get there. There's a lot of work that was done in this, and we're happy to present it to the board for discussion and answer any questions that you might have on this.
Thank you. Our plan, as was mentioned, has to do with keeping things in-house and keeping things going slowly, steadily, and safely. To that end, we'll look at some of the sports we're doing as far as basketball, wrestling, and cheerleading. Basketball, we have staggered the schedule, boys and girls. They're arriving at different times. All students or athletes will be tested once per week to our medical director. Our wrestlers will also practice in a separate facility, separate location at the school, as well as our cheerleader, separate location at the school. Everything is in-house. Wrestlers will be training. They will be doing drills. They will not be wrestling per se until we reach that point. Like I said, we want to go slow and steady at this point. Basketball players will be doing drills. They'll be doing some scrimmaging amongst themselves. We're not looking to get involved with other schools at this point until we could possibly build to that level. And cheerleading, same thing. We're looking to work on our drills, work on our skills, and build to bigger things. The point here again is to go slow, steady, safe. As was mentioned, this is in collaboration with departments of health, with our medical director, with various superintendents, with the Siren League, and what is, of course, the excitement in the community and the excitement of the students who want desperately to get into the gym. They want to get on the mats and they want to get active again. So we're looking forward to giving them that opportunity. I'm open to any questions if you like.
I actually have a question. Hold on.
Since we are merged with New Lebanon, and I believe Columbia County is not. Click on the right bottom of the screen and then click volume.
Try this.
Maybe we should just use and go around to it.
I try.
Yeah, but then he's going to want to respond to it.
Good now. Since we're merged with New Lebanon, most of our sports in Columbia County is a no-go for sports. That would impact team. What's that impact?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. For the time being, I know we have we have a successful collaboration going on with New Lebanon. For the time being, that will be paused. Since New Lebanon is a different county, we'll be working independently for the time being for this winter season, and we'll again have we'll reevaluate as subsequent seasons take place. So we will not be working with New Lebanon for this winter sports season.
And there is a lot of flux that is happening as well, because some counties have right now said no, but they've now come out with conditions under which it will be a yes, whereas other counties which started with yes have now put in conditions.
So you're muted.
Oh. It's the
Frank isn't.
So to build on what Chuck was saying, we're paying very careful attention to what districts and counties are doing around us. Some counties which started with a no have now come out with conditions under which students can play, whereas other counties which started with a yes are now putting more conditions. It depends a lot on the positivity rate within a county. And so we are well aware of what is happening in Columbia County and how that impacts Berlin's association with New Lebanon. And that is something we're going to monitor continuously. So the plan that we're presenting to the board is for us to get started, and then we will monitor. And as things get a little more open, we will definitely keep updating our opportunities for our students as well. And I also want to address an article that came out in the press, the Eastwick Press, and it said that per a spokesperson, Berlin will be moving forward with sports and practice as usual. And I just want to clarify that as of right now, no decision has been made. Berlin, of course, is planning right now to give our students opportunities to do practice as well as engage in intramural sports. But I think it's important for us to make sure that the community realizes while our desire is for our students to be physically active, we also want to make sure it's a safe atmosphere for them. And so therefore we're taking slow and measured steps. So I did want to put a clarification on the article. There was no one from Berlin who spoke to the person who wrote the article. It was an assumption made based on what other districts are doing. So now that has been clarified with the newspaper as well.
Okay, my two questions are about testing, what the cost involved is in that and who is incurring those costs and how they're being conducted and when they're being conducted, and mask requirements during practices.
Mask is required during practice for all participants, coaches, athletes. As far as the cost involved with testing, it's about, I can put that to you.
All right, there we go. Yeah, we'll be very fluent in this, right?
Well, it turns out I can mute anyone, so I can mute it, but I can't unmute Frank's, okay?
So that's a great question regarding testing, and that was one of the first questions that we discussed as area superintendents. So right now, Questar has rapid tests with it. It has stocks of rapid tests, and we're working with Questar to get rapid tests into our district to make it possible for us to do this. Per the guidance that has been given by the Department of Health, we need to test our athletes once a week for COVID. So that is a test that we will be doing. So we're going to get the test from Questar itself, so that won't be a cost to us, but we will have to administer it once a week to every athlete who is playing. And then, of course, there'll be temperature checks before the students go into play. We make sure that we're sanitizing. So there's a lot of COVID protocols that we're following, which is why it took us some time to make sure that things were in place. So I've already been in communication with Questar to make sure that we can get the tests that we need for our students. And I've been assured that we will get those tests. So now we're hoping that things play out.
When you're doing testing in-house, there was a requirement to apply for either laboratory waiver of some sort. Do you know anything about that? I just am concerned if maybe Questar has applied for it or will be covered through Questar.
I will look into that. I will look into that, Kelly. So I've looked into getting the test from them. I will look into the waiver for the laboratory component as well. It's possible, yeah.
Just a follow-up question on that. What happens if a parent opts their child out of testing, or is there no opt-out capability for athletes?
So based on the guidance that we have received, students, athletes will have to be tested once a week. So that is a requirement that we will have to follow in order to make sure that we can keep our programs active for our students. So if parents have questions, we are more than happy to answer questions and address any concerns that parents have. We want to make sure that we are following the actions of our facilities if we are doing anything like sports. So the county will also come to inspect, make sure that we're following the guidelines that they have set. We want to do things right so that once we start with our students, we can continue doing that and actually build upon the opportunities for our students. So that is a requirement that has come from the state in terms of testing once a week.
Child's ongoing school twice a week. Do they only go to sports twice a week? So then they need a parent who would drive them and take them. Are they able, let's say your parent can only do it twice a week. only participate twice a week?
So,
Maybe you should repeat the question. Yeah.
yeah, you're
And then-
absolutely right.
and then respond.
So the question was, what happens if a student is only coming to school twice a week? How does that affect their playing abilities, whether they can be on the team, and so on and so forth? So the answer is yes, a student can definitely be on the team. Just like with every other student, there are expectations that coaches have in terms of making sure that they are participating fully, that they're following COVID protocols, that they are following this code of conduct for athletes. So the expectations will be the same. In terms of any other questions that come up regarding a particular sport, Chuck and the coaches will be answering those on a case-by-case basis, because again, this is a very fluid situation. Depending on how rates go and what happens or doesn't happen, it's a fluid situation. So right now we're taking an approach of being flexible, being safe, allowing our students in, making sure they understand the protocols they have to follow, and then supporting them in making the right decisions, and then going from there, building on it. But we're happy to answer any questions that come up once the students are playing and everything. We're right there. So we want to keep supporting them.
Sherry's a strong yes.
I'm a definite strong yes.
Now I'm a yes, and we'll get Rachel.
Yes.
Are you there, Rachel?
Yes, I said yes.
Okay, I was
Can
shut
you hear me?
down, so I have to get
Okay.
back online. Okay, so I think it's a very good idea, taking small steps, right steps, and keep moving forward. Okay. At this point, I've got to change the agenda slightly, and I have to push the executive session up front. So I need a motion for executive session. Second. So
I think I have to change so Rachel can join you. So it'll be just a minute, I think.
we either can move or we have to move the public out.
I think you can go in there.
Quiet, soundproof. We're going to a classroom. You have your keys? No, across the hall to a classroom. I'll take my laptop. And you might as well bring, if you'd like to, we don't. Okay. Okay.
I just turned my Zoom right off. I will turn my computer off. Shut it down. Yeah, that's what I did.
I don't my video and my audio.
I'm not sure I can because I'm recording for public.
Oh, executive, you can't record though. I'll tell you what I can do. I'm going to FaceTime Rachel and I'm going to shut my Zoom down. If we shut all our Zooms down, then you don't have to record nothing.
You can't shut hers down.
No, she doesn't have to. Just mute sound and the video, and we're all going to be shut down. So I'm going to exit the meeting.
You're gonna, Rachel is still on there.
I'm
That's not gonna work.
going to get a hold of her.
That's not gonna work for this because it's gonna be in a recording.
And you can't,
And I can't,
No, we're gonna talk to her FaceTime.
yes,
Okay.
but Frank, she's still recording, so she has to take that computer out. or
Take her
we
with her,
won't-
yeah.
okay,
Just
here it
let-
goes.
let's do that.
Oh, I'm not doing jail time for executive session.
I guess we're all set. Could I have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to come in public session?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Now we're gonna move into hourly employee compensation. You,
There we go. All right, so thank you, board. In terms of our hourly employees, what I wanted to do was go down how decisions were made, what led to decisions being made, where we are, and where we are going. So back in March, when the governor said, we're going to shut down the schools, and then shortly after that, they said, we're going to have 20% withholding from the state aid, that put us in a very serious fiscal position. So we had to contemplate, are we going to lay off employees, or are we going to keep our employees? And we value our employees, every one of them. So a decision was made that we are going to keep our employees. We're not going to lay off anyone. And I'm proud to say that that is what we have stood by. Now, going into the year, as COVID increased and our restrictions increased and all of that, we had to come up with a plan on how we actually were going to reopen the school. Due to the COVID restrictions that students cannot be more than 6 feet, less than 6 feet from each other, we could not have all kids in the building at the same time. So therefore, we developed a schedule in which we rotated students in and out of the building. And as we rotated the students in and out of the building, we also had to come up with a mechanism to do deep cleaning of the buildings, to make sure COVID is under control, to make sure that we are keeping our environment safe for our students. So during a regular work week, what we have come up with, board, is that Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, we have students in the buildings. Wednesday is a remote day for our students. And on those Wednesdays, our students still get instruction while they're at home. Now, during the month of March, what happened is for the remainder of the school year, the government did give us a mandate that we should pay all our employees. That mandate expired in June in terms of those who cannot work remote. That mandate expired in June. And so therefore, there was no mandate going forward from June as we came up with the reopening plan. What we did was we made sure that our staff have benefits at 100%. So none of our staff lost any of their benefits during the time from September all the way up till now. Their benefits have remained at 100%. What we've also done is looked very carefully at our schedule. On Wednesdays, we don't have our students in the building. So therefore, while we do need our staff who are teaching to make sure that they're working on Wednesdays, we did not need the services of some other staff, but we were thoughtful and careful in how we proceeded with that. But these decisions were also made in a way quickly, because the fact that COVID came upon us, the fact that the reopening plan had to be designed quickly, the fact that we had to move really fast, some decisions were made. And what we're doing is making sure, working with my administrators to make sure that we make sure that those decisions remain equitable for our staff, that if there are extra hours that a staff member can get, that we are rotating it on an equitable basis to make sure that our staff continue to feel valued. So this is something that we're going to keep working on. COVID in itself is something very serious for us, and it continues to be very serious. So therefore, we need to keep revising our plans and making sure that we keep our staff and students safe. We need to make sure going forward that if there is a question or a concern that a staff member has, that they bring it up with their supervisor so that we can address it on a case-by-case basis. We're always willing to work with our staff and make sure that their needs, that their questions are answered, and that we do our best to meet their needs. But at the same time, we also ask for flexibility, because COVID is a tough time for all of us. It has not been easy on any of us. But moving forward, we are strong. We are Berlin strong. We are the only school district in a large radius which has not shut down its buildings. Knock on wood for that. And we aim to stay that way. And the reason why we've been able to do that is because our staff and our students have stayed committed to our district. So going forward, my goal is to keep working with my administration to make sure that the needs of our staff are met, that we make sure that if there is any staff questions or concerns, we address it, and we make sure that we help them realize how valued they are. We would not be able to run this district without our dedicated staff. And so I do want to take this time to make sure that I say those words. When I came in on a snow day, I saw our main grounds and building and ground staff out there shoveling snow in the cold. And it was phenomenal to see their dedication in keeping our district safe. So this is something that is ongoing. We want to make sure that if there is any concerns, it is brought to us so we can address it in a timely manner. We will make sure that it is done equitably, the decisions that we make, so that moving forward, our staff feel valued and that we can keep providing the services we need for our students on an ongoing basis.
The problem, I think, lies, and I'm just gonna speak to the teaching assistant because, that's what I know of right now. Is that, yes, thinking fairness isn't fair. It's hard enough.
So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Um, and that is something which I mentioned a couple of times, making sure it is equitable, because we did have to make decisions that was in the best interest of our staff and students, but we had to do it in a quick fashion. But we are going to go through, make sure it is equitable, get feedback, make sure we're doing things the right way. We are always committed to doing what's right for our staff and students. So that has never been in question. Now it is time we're going to make sure that it is equitable, and also the communication piece, so that people realize that what we've done is the best possible solution that we have come up with. Supervisors are calling in employees on Wednesdays as they need them. So even if someone is not given hours on Wednesday, they do get called in if the supervisor needs them. So that is something we are doing. We can't pay if someone is not doing the hours, we can't pay them, but at the same time, what I'm going to do is look into it to make sure that we're doing the calling in an equitable manner. A lot of it is also based on functionality. So the functions that the TA performs, or the CSE employees perform or the teachers. So there's a lot of things that also go into it in terms of functionality and what specific things does someone do. So that also has to be taken into consideration. But keeping that under consideration, making sure we're equitable is something we want to move towards.